Perfect. Thank you for having me here. It's really a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. My name is Boris. I basically represent Infobip. And what I want to do today is basically talk about a very interesting topic. You all kind of touch base on a lot of good things, but how do we do actually intelligent engagement at scale? That's like the hot topic and hot potato. How do we approach it? Basically, I would like to kind of jump straight to the point here and actually give a statement here. So conversations right now are homepage of customer experience. And what we are going to see in the next 5 to 10 years is actually that conversations will become the operating system of customer experience. It's a bold statement, but we have a lot of things and a lot of different forces are actually backing this up. Because the direction where we are going right now is all evolved around discovery within one single conversations. We do the guidance, we do the actions in one single conversations. And there's these three forces that are basically driving this. Conversational messaging boom. Everyone here uses conversations. We do these two-way communications every day. So this is one fact that we need to take in consideration. The basis is already there. And now, if we take a step further, the messaging channels are actually becoming super apps. It's not like just the example that we had 10 years ago with WeChat that kind of introduced this topic to us, this principle, but messaging channels are actually becoming one. Because you don't need, in this journey, to go beyond the conversation itself. It is a hustle, to be honest, like to go to a different app, to go to a different website. The customer journey is not seamless in that part. And channels are actually transforming there. But the third thing is actually that will accelerate everything is, of course, AI. It's not just a buzzword, but the rise of agentic AI, it will change the way the customer journey is driven. So the customer journey itself will not be driven like today, where basically AI is helping the agent to solve certain challenges, but the AI itself will perform. They will do the action. They will do the transaction. They will book your order. They will schedule your call. The action will be there. And the true value here, we need to point out, will be, it's not the number of messages that are going to be sent out. That's not where the true value is. The true value is how we can orchestrate those messages better. And we need to think about that. There are some stats, basically, and trends that are backing this up. And let's start again with Gen Zs. Every year I kind of get the similar slides around Gen Zs, but the stats are amazing. So currently they're making 30% of the global population. But what's also interesting enough, currently they're 27% of the global workforce. And the interesting part, we had some discussions around voice, but there are statistics backing messaging, because 9 out of 10 members of the Gen Zs would rather chat than do a voice call. I'm not a Gen Z, but I would also do the same. But this is like the shift that we're seeing. It's all the generations are going towards that direction. It's not just the Gen Zs. And this will be just obvious once we come to the Gen Alphas and the later generations as well. The second part is velocity. We need to take in consideration velocity, because we have conversational experience at the heart of everything, and it's growing really rapidly. This is the two-way communication that we're having. We talked a lot about RCS, but we have to take in consideration that RCS grew 9 times in the last 2 years. But it's not just about growth, it's around that users want to have rich branded messaging options. It's not just about WhatsApp, there's room enough for other players like Viber, or like RCS. They want to have this kind of a rich branded communication there. And WhatsApp, of course, I mean, we have to admit they laid the foundation of everything when we are talking about end-to-end customer journeys. They're doing it right. We have already some customer journeys that are growing end-to-end. You can do the discovery, you will do the purchase, and there's also some action, and you have the service and support included as well. What we need to kind of think about here is that we cannot be just providers that send the message out as a notification. We need to think about how we orchestrate it and how do we become part of the journey. This is the most crucial and important part. Talking about super apps, as you all know, messaging apps are actually turning into super apps. So the goal is simple. We want to stay as long as possible within one conversation. Why? We're going to convert faster. The businesses want you to stay in a conversation because of the conversion. And messaging apps are actually moving into that direction. And there's like 3 principles that are driving this as well. So the first one is trust. And this is basically where we have verification, where we have verified senders, we have the branding part. So you build that trust. The entry points are already there. We have a lot of entry points, and everybody's pointing to the same direction. So we want to point them into this one conversation, and they should stay in that conversation as long as needed. The second thing is, what we need to take in consideration as a principle, of course, is guidance. We need to guide. It's not just building trust. Once we build trust, we need to guide them. And this is what rich media is actually doing. We have suggested replies, so it's no longer like asking, what should I do next? You just tap, 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 and you go to the action. And the third part, once we have trust, once we have guidance, is action. We want the customers to convert, we want them to use the services, we want to stay there, we want to retain them. And the action will basically allow us that, and in order to have that sort of an action, we actually need to make sure that they also kind of convert and do the action itself and perform. But there's one interesting thing happening once we have trust, guidance, and action. Something very interesting happens. The interface shrinks. It becomes simple. So once we have all these principles in place, what you need, you will now only have like this one thread, this one bar that we currently have on our phones with one conversation. It used to be quite complex. You needed some time to learn the app, to learn the messaging. It took some time, and a lot of people kind of gave up. I cannot do it anymore. But this kind of changed. Now it's a bit more seamless. We have better experiences, so it's good. But where are we going in the future is actually to have it like this. But don't get me wrong, in order to go with this direction, we need to make sure that the backend is good. So we need intelligence. We need to make sure it's intelligence. We need to be data-driven. We need to kind of expose the threats. We need to make sure it's verified. There's a lot of things that we need to ensure in the backend in order to get the simplification right here. I'd like to show you something, a very interesting video. So just that you get the picture around agentic AI. I won't put like the video until the end, just a part of it, but just want to show you how our journey looks like. I know it's sure is the sound.
Hey, this is Patrick. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you too, Patrick. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. It looks like you've been shopping with us recently. I see you have a few things in your cart already. What can I help you with today?
Yeah, so I just bought some plants and I'm trying to pick out potting soil and fertilizer, and I'm not sure if I'm getting the right stuff. Could you help me with that?
I can definitely help with that, Patrick. To give you the best recommendations, could you show me the plants you bought? I can take a look and help you choose the best soil and fertilizer. I'm sending a video request to your browser now. Great, I can see you. Just hold the plants up to the camera so I can help identify them.
Yeah, so I have about 40 of these in various different colors.
Those are beautiful petunias. They're a great choice for vibrant color. Let me take a closer look at the items in your cart. Okay, I see you have standard potting soil and general purpose fertilizer. That could work, but petunias really thrive in a rich, well-draining soil and a fertilizer specifically for flowering plants. Okay, I've found some recommendations for your petunias.
Yeah, I've taken a look at these now. They look fantastic. Thanks.
Great! Would you like me to remove the standard potting soil and general purpose fertilizer and add the Bloom Booster potting mix and Flower Power fertilizer to your cart?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, I've updated your cart. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
I mean, not unless you can come over and plant these for me.
Funny you should mention that. We actually do offer professional landscaping services. Would you be interested in a quote?
That's it, basically. I mean, this is how upsell and cross-sell are doing good, so it's a good example of it. But you get the picture. This is just one journey. And this is like what we are discussing about use cases, how we can expand all of that. And this is the power of the action part. So actually where the agentic AI is taking the action, it already has the guidance and the trust is built in. Just to give you an idea, I mean, how Gen AI productivity impacts like all the sectors. And we can see some, huge figures here, 460 billion just in technology, retail and e-commerce, BFSI as an industry as a whole. It's very important. So the impact is already there, and we are kind of witnessing it year over year. And the second part is what we are actually doing, for example, as Infobip, also CPaaS provider, how are we tackling all of this? I mean, nowadays, we do have use cases that are actually building smart and reliable chatbots that will help businesses. We have assistance to human call center agents. We have fraud detection and prevention, big part also for network API, of course. And we have end-to-end marketing campaigns. But what we need to kind of take care of, we need to go away from isolated use cases into agentic workflows. And this is the most important part. We cannot stay just messaging. We need to evolve beyond the messaging part and actually do the orchestration. Let me kind of switch to some challenges, if I can see, but also opportunities. So there are some consequences. There are major changes in the value chain that we operate. So we saw some acquisitions lately that kind of lead us to that direction. So with these acquisitions, we can see where we kind of have a fusion of conversational AI with the contact center stack. And what we need to be aware of, that these things are going to happen more and more. So it's not just like one single case. We're going to see this more often, not just next year, but in the years after that. The second part, which is also what I discussed a lot also with Ivan, is AI is actually eating SaaS. So because of AI, a lot of businesses are kind of building in-house the AI itself, so they just pick the cloud of their choice, and that's it. So there will be less and less interest in actually buying software from other vendors. And the third thing is ecosystems have advantages. And why? It's quite also simple. It eases the procurement procedure. The trust and the security is already there. You have the stack. You're already using a lot of other things. So it basically just makes it simplified in the end. And what we need to kind of make sure is we need to, sorry, just the last, I skipped one. Okay. The thing is, we need to change CPaaS as an industry. Why? Because we have different challenges here. So one of the biggest challenges is, of course, SMS and other channels. And if we keep just messaging, it becomes a commodity, and the margins are going down. So we need to change that layer. We need to do the orchestration part. The second thing what AI is actually doing is it's increasing the competitive landscape. So a lot of companies are actually there, and they have the chance to take over some use cases that we are not doing because we are slow. The alignment is missing. And the third part, which will affect all of it, is, of course, the slowdown of growth. The more players that show up, the growth will also be slowed for us. So what we need to do is basically take the advantage. We need to take the orchestration part and basically lead the entire industry. And there's actually a good definition that we marked out in how do we redefine CPaaS. And basically, it's based on the principles of trust, guide, and action, where we have 3 layers. The first initial layer, which actually builds the trust, is network API and the entire infrastructure. We have it already. So this is there, but what we need to do more, we need better alignment. We need to be more flexible, more agile in all of that. The second part, which is important, we need to integrate the omni-channel layer. Because we cannot depend just on one single channel. We need to swap the channels. We need to be there with the preferred channel of the customer. And we need to have the whole stack there. So in other regions, some other channels have the advantage, and we need to be taking care of that. We need to take the data that will actually lead us to give the preferred channel there. And the third layer where the action actually happens is with AI and with agentic AI. So they will do the action. They will do the performance of all of the guidance that we're actually doing. And if we kind of double tap into these layers, what we can see actually is basis of network API, the telco GPT part. So there's also one good point that also the telcos can take over the GPT part. They can do the orchestrations also by themselves. So we need to kind of provide this intelligent layer with the omnichannel view. And the last part, of course, not the least part, is the MCP. Of course, we need to connect those agents. We need those protocols that they can communicate. And only then we're going to have the full cycle of orchestration in place. And we have actually already some examples of that. A good example of that is what we at Infobip doing is failover scenarios. So this is like a simple example of orchestration happening. So we have the whole stack of channels, omni-channel there. We pick the preferred channel to the customer. If this channel is not delivering the OTP, we do a failover scenario and pick the second preferred channel. If that is not working, we have the third layer already ready. It's all seamless for the customer and end user in the end. And just to kind of finish off, in terms of the shortage of time, key takeaways. We have a lot of challenges, but we have a lot of battles that we need to win. And just to highlight them, what we need to do is seize the control of omnichannel. We need to be the ones that are doing the orchestration. We already have the layer there, and we need to guide the users and the enterprises. The second thing is we have to extract the value of collected data. We sit on a ton of data, but the question is how do we collect it? And we need to work on that. The third part is we actually need to accelerate the adoption of network APIs. That's the kind of thing where we need to align better. We need to move fast because we have the basis. The last thing is, of course, let's take advantage of the infrastructure that is already there. And once we have these battles won, of course, we have the opportunities that will actually accelerate us, I hope so, to this 100 billion part. So with agentic AI, and of course, as CPaaS companies, as leaders of the digital transformation, we need to lead that part for the enterprises, also for the telcos, because we need to orchestrate more. And once we do orchestrate more, then we will get to the desired outcomes. Thank you all.
Stay with me for a second. How frank may I be?
Yes.
Yes? Looks great, right? Marketing, fantastic. Story, use case, amazing. We look at the numbers. Andrew had shared a lot of numbers before. We look at Infobip numbers. Growth is down, 6-7% I think last year. Profitability is still not reached. What's not working?
I think that we as an industry, we need to transform. So we need to be ahead of the game. We need to kind of shift from the old CPaaS mindset that we're currently having to switch to the new narrative. We need to embrace with the AI part. It should not be just the buzzword. We actually need to adapt to it, and we need to present these solutions to the customers. So, I mean, our biggest focus right now is to be where the customer is, and we need to have this kind of approach of really building the use cases together. Is it starting small or not, but we need to be there. Yeah. I think this is where the shift will happen and where we as an industry will also transform.
And is it because the go-to-market, I'm sorry, I'm hammering down on this, where will we build that initial scale, right? Because initially we're talking about that one customer, and we heard it many times before where we saw shifts. Well, metaverse a few years ago, everyone was talking about it and nobody wanted it, right? Where's the metaverse right now? So how do we where do we find these first customers? How do we get them and scale them? Where are they?
I think there's a lot of those, what we're doing like with Startup Tribe, we're actually doing the part of identifying the small players, the small startups that are ready to take the risks. Yeah. I think sometimes the main issue is we always look at the enterprises immediately because enterprises are slow. Yes. They're risk averse in any case. But we need to kind of take a look of the disruptors. How are they doing? I mean, even when we look at BFSI, we are looking at fintechs, how they kind of adapt. They need to move fast, otherwise they're gone. Yeah. So we need to identify those type of industries, move fast, and basically implement those use cases. It's a trial and error thing, of course, but we have the basis there. I mean, even with WhatsApp, later on, I hope also with RCS. We have the rich media component. We have the AI there. how to put those stacks as a Lego together. That's the point that we need to think about. But I think we need to kind of start also to scale it down and then rather scale up.
And then last point for me to you. Now you can be frank on somebody else, okay? So you can go back. Network APIs. I talked about it before, and then yes, we see Aduna, and there's network APIs. You drill a little bit deeper, and the picture, at least from my view, looks a little bit different. What's your experience, and can you consume them? Are they available? Are you failing? Is everything different? How's it working for you with network APIs and with the operators?
I mean, it did a big shift internally with us as well. So we'll talk about it a lot. But I think it's all connected with the trust layer. So we need to kind of identify network APIs is the trust layer. So where we are actually building it together with the telcos, and then later on with the go-to-market to the end consumers. So we need to take that advantage. We have the infrastructure also there. So we need to take advantage of that that we're driving.
So drilling down. But the operators are what? Are they ready? You can go to every operator, every region. You go them, hey, this is what I need, or is it a pain in the? Where are you really in dealing that one? Trying to understand that because
it comes to the alignment in the end. So a lot of different operators. Everybody wants to operate differently. So it's not easy. It's also a breakdown of regions. So we're always trying to, of course, we are worldwide there with the operators, but we're just trying to kind of pick the right group where we can actually do the change. So it's not an easy process. It's very slow, but we need to be keen to basically do that.
Any pick of you say, hey, that is the region where we see the most excitement overall on an intelligent engagement and including network APIs and all the use cases you've shown, where you say, where's really the most openness to really change it and implement it?
I think it's the switch that channels are getting to the super app part. So they're already doing a lot to kind of convince the user to stay within one single conversation. And we are basically the platform that can also drive that. So I think we need to utilize on that part. We just need to build better use cases around it. And that's the key, I think, for the success.
All right. Thank you very much. Big round of applause once more.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.